Rockefellers, come back. We don't want your New World Order, you know? Leave Chile right now. Leave Chile. You are not...
Rockefeller, we know what you're doing. We know what you're doing to the world. Rockefeller, your New World Order will never come in. You're running out of time. Scumbag, you've rushed it. You screwed up. You're not going to stop the Irish, Rockefeller, you scumbag. We are the Irish. We know what you're up to. We know what you're up to.
We know about your New World Order. We know about it. We won't be silenced about it, sir. We know about it. I'm sorry. National sovereignty will prevail. You guys think you guys can run things. You can't. I'm telling you right now. National sovereignty will prevail. You guys will never have a New World Order.
That David Rockefeller himself, the 95-year-old patriarch of the family and sole surviving member of the third generation of John D. Rockefeller's band of robber barons, should be the target of South American vitriol is no surprise, given his documented role in the promotion of the now-defunct free trade area of the Americas, a proposed attempt to further the neoliberal agenda of sovereignty destruction and economic subjugation under the guise of globalization.
Vice President, I just enjoyed so much your whole speech, but I was particularly pleased that you gave such a strong endorsement for the free trade agreement for all the Americas, a subject that has been of great concern to me for many years, and particularly recently, and I think it's absolutely essential for the strength of our economy.
Rockefeller's role in the drive for an FTAA was a lot more central than he portrays. Rockefeller cultivated Latin American leaders who could be counted on to support such a proposal. Both the 1994 Miami Summit and the FTAA proposal were conceived and nurtured by a Rockefeller-created network. Prominent among the organizations sponsoring the Miami event were the Council of the Americas, founder and honorary chairman David Rockefeller, the Americas Society, chairman David Rockefeller, the Forum of the Americas, founder David Rockefeller, the Institute for International Economics, financial backer and board member David Rockefeller, the Trilateral Commission, founder and honorary chairman David Rockefeller.
Although the Rockefeller family was the object of America's scorn in the 19th and early 20th centuries, when John D's ruthless pursuit of money and power was still fresh in the mind of a public wary of the world's first billionaire and his unimaginable political clout, the family has managed to mitigate that image of unbridled avarice in the quest for political dominance by first inventing the PR industry and then using it to convince the world that the family is interested only in philanthropy and charity. In contrast to the carefully cultivated image of the family that gave their wealth away in the interest of humanity, is the reality that the Rockefeller family has been instrumental in furthering the aims of the international oligarchical power structure that has been manipulating world events for generations. The Rockefellers have been the driving force behind the promulgation of eugenics and depopulation programs throughout the world in the 20th century. In the early 1900s, John D. Rockefeller gave $11 million to establish the Cold Spring Harbor Eugenics Records Office, the first major eugenic research center in the United States. The experiments conducted there inspired the eugenics policies, which led to the involuntary sterilization of tens of thousands of Americans, almost invariably poor and/or minorities. During that same period, the Rockefellers also funded the Kaiser Wilhelm Institutes in Germany, which were the center for the Nazi eugenics programs giving rise to the Holocaust. In 1952, John D. III founded the Population Council, an organization dedicated to promoting the now-debunked fear that overpopulation would ravage the earth and cause mass death by the year 2000. Rockefeller appointed Frederick Osborne, the leader of the American Eugenics Society, as its first president. In the 60s, the Rockefellers funded a WHO-administered task force on vaccines for fertility regulation that developed anti-fertility vaccines, a task force that eventually succeeded in developing an anti-HCG vaccine that caused spontaneous abortions in vaccinated women. In the 90s, WHO-administered tetanus vaccine programs in multiple countries were racked with scandal when it was discovered that vaccines were laced with HCG and causing spontaneous abortions in the third world populations who were being unknowingly injected with them. David Rockefeller continues to promulgate the same overpopulation fear-mongering, always framing the problem so as to posit the United Nations as the only solution, without noting that the UN was built on land donated by his family on the ashes of the League of Nations, an organization founded by Rockefellers and their family allies. Last year, David Rockefeller hosted a meeting of billionaires including Ted Turner, George Soros, Bill Gates, and others, at which they concluded that overpopulation was the world's most pressing problem. In 1973, David Rockefeller penned an obituary for communist dictator Mao Zedong, the man personally responsible for more deaths than any other human in history, in which he praised the high moral and community of purpose engendered by Mao's leadership and claimed his bloody dictatorship and slaughter of 60 million of his own citizens to be one of the most important and successful dictatorships in history.
We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subjected to the lights of publicity during those years, but the world is more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government of supernatural sovereignty of the intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national determination practiced in past centuries. Now, that is David Rockefeller, one of the most powerful men in the world, okay? And this is also a guy who has said, some believe that the Rockefeller family is part of a secret cabal working against the best interest of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists and conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure. One world, if you will. If that's the church, I stand guilty, and I am proud of it. So there is no doubt, there is no conspiracy here that the wealthiest, most powerful men in the world are working against the United States interests. Okay, let me put it this way: American interests, because I tell you the difference between the government and American freedom. They are looking to create a one-world system, and with NAFTA and CAFTA and all the other things that you mentioned that probably are slipping my mind right now. Yeah. You see it. Here's the thing: these people are beyond wealthy. When Forbes puts out their the wealthiest people, and every year it's supposedly Bill Gates and Ted Turner, somehow the Rockefeller family, the Rothschild family, those names are never on that list. These people, they have more money than you can ever imagine. So they're not looking, they don't need money. What they're looking for now is control. And this is what you're seeing unfold. This is this globalization. And when, people bicker between George Bush and Obama and who was better and who was worse, well, we're seeing this global system being formed all around us.
They're the ones you should be arresting, not me.
Why don't you say that before? What do we got here? Cam, this is William Klein. He was wrecking an office.
But I just wanted to meet them face to face. I wanted them to admit what they were doing.
Who is they? He was in the office of the Trilateral Commission.
Trilateral Commission?
Yeah, the Trilateral Commission.
All right, what is the Trilateral Commission?
It's an organization founded in 1973 by David Rockefeller to bring together business and political leaders from the United States, Europe, Japan, so they could work together for better economic and political cooperation between their nations.
And that's what they'd like us to believe. But you see, what they're really up to is a scheme to plant their own loyal members in positions of power in this country, to work to erase national boundaries and create an international community, and in time bring about a one-world government with David Rockefeller calling the shots.
I take it they're pressing charges?
Yeah, well, he broke a globe and some UNICEF artwork.
Well, they're in on it too.
Okay, Mr. Klein, if you just...
I'm telling you, our whole way of life as we know it is in jeopardy.
I appreciate that information.
But I have the documented evidence. It's all in there. Show him.
Well, he's got these magazines here.
Conspiracy Review? Suppress Truth Roundup?
The whole master plan is exposed.
Yeah, well,
You're still not convinced, huh? Would you like to hear the names of just a few of the people who have been on the Trilateral Commission?
not particularly.
James Earl Carter. Heard of him?
Look, Mr. Klein.
Henry Kissinger. You heard of him? Walter Mondale.
Who?
Mr. Klein, this is
John Anderson, George Bush. Now, you remember at the convention, everybody thought it was going to be Ford for Veep. You know what happened? David Rockefeller just picked up a phone, put in a call. Hey, Ronnie, forget Jerry, it's George. Bye. So, no matter who won in November, they had their man in the White House.
Are you through?